Hello, friends. Welcome to another exciting episode of Why I Do What I Do. And thank you so much for tuning into 1 Minute Motivation community page. My name is Asi. I am the founder of 1 Minute Motivation community. So, as a community, our objective is to introduce people and their ideas and experiences that will practically help you to take action to change your life for betterment. We want to help you to help yourself. So one of the main reasons why I selected this specific topic is many of our community members reach out to us and request to touch upon this topic, office politics. So while I was thinking who is the best person to talk about this topic, without any second thought, the first person who came to my mind is this gentleman that I'm going to introduce. And today's guest is an individual who has over 30 years of experience in corporate world, and he's a pioneer in pharmaceutical industry. He's currently serving as the CEO of Sunshine Healthcare, former director at Delmage, former country manager at Hemas Holdings. And I had the privilege to work with him in a different fraternity called Toastmasters. And that's where I first met this wonderful gentleman. And during this time, he mentored me. And he's an epitome of true leadership. Now, this I confirm it to you with my experience, friends. So, friends, please welcome Thiru Sayandhan. Let me invite him. Hi, Sayandhan.
Hi, Asita. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being with me, being with our community, and accepting my invitation, Sayandhan. So, welcome to Why I Do What I Do. So, Sayandhan, many of us, including myself, have been a victim of organizational politics, and whether it's directly or indirectly. So in my own humble opinion, organizational politics is sort of a battle for power, or rather power struggle. This is what I feel. So in your opinion, what is organizational politics?
Okay. So, Asita, in my own words, I will give a very short definition where all of us in the audience can understand it.
Yes.
In my words, office politics can be defined as it's a behavior an employee or set of employees use to increase their probability or chances to obtain positive outcome from a organization or an employer. So they influence in various ways. Their intention is to get positive outcome. So in another word, it's an influencing process by individuals to get undue advantage. Because when you have your own KPI, when you have your own goal, that goes on. That's what you're supposed to do. So here comes the politics. So in my words, it's an influencing process to get undue advantage or undue outcome. So that will be my definition of organization or office politics per se.
Wow, it's you nicely put it across Sana, because many of us, when we say organizational politics, office politics, there's a negative aspect come into play. But in your opinion, right? So what you're sharing is your experiences, and it's like sort of a behavior of an individual or a group to pursue them to achieve something positive. Yeah. Wonderful.
Not only positive, Asita, it could be negative as well. So most often the politics have negative impact. That's why I said undue advantage. So because of this undue advantage seeked by this group of employees, there may be a lot of negativity coming in, and most often it's the negative motivation which sets into the performer.
Okay. So what are the types of office politics, Sayandhan?
Okay. So Asita, in answering, please, only for this point, allow me to bring in a little bit of theory. And actually, I would like to bring the Harvard Business Review, where they have done research among the CEOs, and they have beautifully collated a theory in office politics, bringing two aspects. One is where you play politics at individual level and at formal level, and how this can have an impact at an individual level and at an organization level. So there are, if you take these four parameters, if you quickly explain these, an individual playing politics at the individual power with an individual, it's known as weeds. So they say weeds anyway naturally grow in an organization. A good example is, say, when somebody join, hey, I don't like this person.
Yes.
So that could be the weeds, where individual at an individual level. Then you have the rocks. They call it the rocks type of politics, where an individual acting in a formal manner. So this is where Asita one's designation, one's role, or one's access to resources. See, where this power is obtained is obtaining resources. So one's with a big title or particular position, where a formal position has an impact on an individual, they call it rocks. So those are hard. I mean, you can't go and knock against a rock. You know the impact, you will bounce back. Yes. Then you have the high ground, where this is where the formal person act at the organization level. So high ground is where the rules come in, where the structure come in, the policies come in, the procedure come in, the guidelines come in. So this is with the formal authority, with the power of a person acting at organization level. Mm-hmm. Next come the individual, the powerful individual acting at organization level. This is where the unspoken words or unwritten laws or the unspoken routines come into place. So for example, nobody says to call you sir, but everybody calls you sir. Or when a person walks in, all get up. I mean, this is not written anywhere. So that is known as the woods. So Harvard Business Review, even they know politics exists all over. They call it the weeds, the rocks, the high ground and woods. And let's see what would be the impact. So this is how it can play around. So in other words, what people should remember is politics can be at individual level, at an authority level. It can have an impact at individual level, and it can impact at the organization level. So these are the 4 words that HBR categorize them, Asita.
Wow. So have you experienced it, Sayandhan, in your 30 years of corporate world life?
Always, Asita, always. And I don't want to mention names, it's a controversial. But in my case, Asita, how I've been a victim for politics. I don't want to say no. And always that helped me to grow one step ahead. Mm-hmm. Because politics is something, it's an attempt to take an undue advantage of another where you get affected. So only way to move on is for you to go positive, for you to perform, and you neutralize that. So in my later on, I can explain further. Yes. I think everybody undergo. I mean, I think any performer, any person above average, don't be naive. You're going to face it in any organization, any schools, any association. Why organization? I have seen these in OBA clubs. I have seen these in clubs. I have seen in association, and more than 5 people getting together to see 2 people playing politics. So this is all over, and this is unique.
Wow. So I'm actually a little bit curious to know more about it. But let me go into the third question. So I know like politics, sometimes, like you correctly said, it can be effect on you on a positive way or as in a negative way. So what are the other effects of its politics?
Yeah. So as you correctly said, Asita, it has positive and negatives, and most often what people discuss or what people say are the negative impact. So when the office politics or when the politics take an upper place, first thing we see is a lower output. People are demotivated. So when person is demotivated, it reduces the productivity. When the productivity comes down, the performance comes down. It reduces the attention. So we all have set of goals. So organization have goals. I mean, anywhere you have set of objectives that you're working on. So the attention and the focus move away. And on long term, handling these politics, it wastes a lot of management time as well. So these are the negative aspects affecting the performance of office politics. The positive would be, I don't know how many organization or people use this. If you can use this to drive a change in an individual, you can use that person as a mentor to change a person. Or if you can use politics to achieve a goal where the outcome is positive. Or for example, if you can use certain political members or who are good at it to influence the stakeholders. For example, say COVID, you are affected with the current rules and regulation. Can you send someone to send it to the ministry and have a positive income for the industry or country? Is a positive way how you can use this, turn the negatives into positives.
So we actually have a question from the audience. Our good friend Shu has asked a question. So let me ask that question from you, Sayandhan. So it's as long as you perform, do we still have to worry about office politics? So which means that if you are a performer, do you have to worry about office politics? Thank you so much, Shuo, for that wonderful question.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, Asita. It depends. See, when you're equal member compared to the person who is playing politics, and if your performance is equal, that's the time the scale may go on the other side. But if you're a performer, and if you're an individual, I'll bring the word competency or co-competency here. If you're a person who is competent, and if you believe in yourself, and if you know what you're doing, and if you know what you have to do, you can simply ignore office politics and move on. I don't think it's going to affect in any way, because end of the day, organization or any office need results. What you report end of the day, you got to report your PNL or your report end of the day. What you need ultimately is your performance. So here's an individual giving you results. You can't ignore that individual over a political matter. So person who is a performer has nothing to worry. Even if you get affected in one organization, I am sure there are 10 other organizations who is willing to look at that performer. So performing is the game. How you overcome the politics will be my answer always.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because you put it in a very, very simpler manner. So whether the politics is affecting you positively or affecting you negatively, but if you are a performer, so you can literally neglect politics. Wonderful. Yes. So I'm a little bit curious about the previous question, because I want to dig a little bit deeper into this. Sayandhan, you said that you emphasize on the negative aspect. So when you put lower output, so people are demotivated, then which means it will affect the productivity and the attention and the focus. So how a positive person can improve their performance with this office politics environment, in an environment like that?
Okay, I'll bring a scenario here to understand this better, Asita. Say we have two employees almost performing at the same level, and when you work for 2 years, next is when you're anticipating a promotion. I know this promotion is up for grabs, but due to political reason, my opponent or my colleague, I would call it the colleague, but in the game of promotion, he becomes an opponent. Like in other terms, I should not use that word, but he is also contesting for the same position. But if you understand, I mean, you understand, you get the feel of what's going on in office. Look, due to political reason, look like this guy is going to get promoted. The positive way I should act upon, Asita, is I should pump up my performance, not to start attacking him back. So this is where my performance become my benchmark to improve on it further. And when I start performing more and more, the hard work, the quality of my work, if I keep increasing my knowledge, if I start increasing my qualification and apply what I've learned into practice, the management will see a difference. Come on, he may be more closer, but this guy is quantum leap. It's like in a race. When you have a 1 millisecond gap, sometimes other person may overtake you. But if you keep a gap longer, there's nothing can beat you there. So that's how I would say to move on and positively influence those outside negatives. How the outside negatives can positively influence without getting demotivated. But if demotivate sets in, then that's the beginning of the problem for you. Your productivity goes down. So take those challenges and keep performing would be my answer.
Okay. Wow. So simply what you're saying is, if you focus on the negativity, so when you focus on the negativity, automatically your performance goes down, and that will impact your performance. So then you get into the trap of office politics.
Yes, absolutely. And you should not.
So, and I believe sometimes like this office politics comes through power. It's a power struggle as well. This is my personal opinion, Sayandhan. So can you define what is power and how it is linked to office politics?
Okay, so power is in two forms, or I will say the literature suggests there are about 6 or 7 powers. So one come with designation. So some call it the legitimate power. Sometimes you see the person who is having information power. So he doesn't pass on the information to others, Asita. He keeps all the information. Here, guy, you want any information, you have to come to me, and he plays a little bit of politics. Thank God with the era and the right for information and the information free world or the Google, today the information is really available. Good old time, people use information as power. Legitimate power is what your designation and what the authority gives you. Some have expert power. I am an engineer. I have the power. Only I know to use the Allen key, and I use my expert power there. Some people use cohesive powers. Some use referral powers. Say, for example, for everything, if we start referring, hey, go to that person, go to that person, go to that person. Hey, he thinks I am the don in this area, and that person gets the referral power. Some use reward as a power. You know, he's the person who can pay this, or he's the guy who will approve that check, or he will who pass it on. The reward power. And some have the charismatic power. So putting all to that, I'll just take two powers, Asita, the personal power and the positional power. A good leader would use charismatic power or the personal power. And if you start using personal power, this is where the leadership sets in. People will start, you will play the role of influencing. Versus if you use the positional power, the legitimate power, there you have to say, do this, do that. And every time you say, as a CEO, I am telling this, do this. As a managing director, I am telling, do this. No, you tell it as a person. Hey, this is the objective we agreed. This is our project in hand. We need to finish. And you motivate them and you inspire to them to do with the leadership power. You can get much more gain from as productivity. So the difference I have also seen is, Asita, I've seen this since I have resigned from big organization. The people who have used the positional power, once you leave, you have no regard when you come out in the society. But when you have personal power, they keep mentioning about you. So I still have people in my former organization who calls and respect and give regard. And even if they see me on the road, they stop and talk. So that says the power that you're using. And it's always used to use the charismatic power or the personal power.
Wow. So what I learned from that question is that you need to have personal power as well as professional, passionate professional power, right? So if you use the professional power in a negative way, that will impact the organizational end result. And you have to be a leader to influence other people, right? Is that what you meant?
True, exactly. So don't use power at all. See, when you are a person, instead of, sometimes the position give powers. My question is to get a project done or to achieve an objective, Asita. Should you use that authority? Why should I come and say, as a CEO, I'm telling you do this? No. Yes. What you have to say is, you are an individual, I am an individual, we have a task at hand, we need to do before this. Let's do this. Let's review this. And it's both in our KPIs or it's in our objective, and it's our task. Instead of saying you do, it's our task, let's do it. See the difference? So by doing that, then there's less room for politics and there's a better buying in from the team and you do things better. So that's where the power comes in. So when a person uses too much of power, the team or the teammates are not going to like it. And the outcome is going to get reduced. They will see the power. In a group, you will see one person is powerful, captain of the team is powerful, or the leader of the team is powerful. Versus if you have one team and we use our personal power, the charismatic power, then you perform as a team.
Beautiful. I love that answer, Sayandhan. I love that answer. And actually, the last question is it's about how to overcome organizational politics. And we have a question from Mihira Fernando, and he's asking, what can management do to eliminate or reduce office politics? So I think you have covered a little bit of that answer through your previous answer. So I would love to ask what can management can do differently to eliminate or reduce office politics.
Yeah. So management point of view, Asita, it's very clear. You should cut that unauthorized channels or news coming in and instead focus on what's need to be done and the objectives, because every organization has an objective to achieve and each individual has an objective to achieve. We simply bring in the measurement against those achievements, what a person is supposed to do and what he is doing. So if the organization strictly measures, then all these unwanted jargon or gossiping or bootlicking, these are the words which use. There's no place for that. Yeah. I mean, he came for this purpose. Is he achieving? So management should look at what is the purpose we are here and what is the purpose he is there. Whether he is achieving it should be the performance. So this is where the frequent performance review, your meeting, your continuous feedback, all these what the management should inculcate to cut down the politics or minimize the politics. As you correctly said, I don't think we can make it zero. The only way is to minimize, and or somebody to ignore and move on is the game plan.
So when you said that management has the power to reduce the frequency of politics, say if the management is building or rather creating the politics, how would an individual create a positive environment for him or her to work in that organization?
It's a tough question, Asita, but I need to answer. Sometimes the organization itself is the politics. So this is where people leave, right? So I'm not blaming that organization. Sometimes that could be the culture of that organization. So when a person is there, after sometimes he will come to a point, hey, come, this is not going to work. So this is where, in his point, he may be say, I'm a good employee, I'm going to leave. And in that manner, if it's something negative and the organization is continue to perform like that, I don't think that organization is going to grow, Asita. So if you see the growing organization or the top conglomerates around the world or in Sri Lanka, they're very clear. That's why they have the performance metrics. That's why they're bringing such measurement tools, review tools, feedback tools to overcome this. But if the organization, then all the best, they'll be stuck there. And the good individuals will move on. So management need to take a closer look at it, and they need to minimize this or eradicate certain things.
Mm-hmm. So how frequently a management team have to measure the performance of the individual?
I hope all the organization, they do annual appraisals or reviews or against their KPI. Most organizations do half yearly, quarterly, monthly, and if it's a person who need to be managed, even having a tap on weekly is something good. But most organization, I would say it's monthly, quarterly, half yearly, and annually. So then you exactly know what, and you are not taken by surprise.
So as an individual, as an employee, so for an example, if I'm working for an organization, if my performance are measured quarterly or annually, so is this a way to avoid or eliminate certain office politics, like you go and meet your boss or rather a leader and have a one-to-one discussion and say, look here, Mr. Boss, can you measure my performance every week or every month? So will that method or rather methodology help that individual to focus on his or her performance area?
Definitely, yes. See, some of the things, Asita, I'll go into a slightly different point on the same question that you asked. If an individual feels I'm a victim of politics or I'm getting victimized, the first person he should go to is his boss and talk it out. Sometimes we keep our doubts in our mind and he thinks, I think, he thinks, game go on. Call out an appointment, have a one-to-one discussion and call it out and say, I'm having this problem. Is it yes or not? Get it black and white. And from the management point of view, your answer should be, hey, chum, you are here for this purpose. Do it and nothing else should affect you. And even if there are doubts, I think that's the way to call it out. You should go and you should have that chat. And sometimes having that chat will avoid a lot of misunderstanding. Otherwise, we live in assumption. Oh, he is closer to so-and-so. He thinks, would that person would have gone told that? Is he believing that story? Why this assumption? There are hundreds of stories people hear. But a smart manager or a good leader will garbage in, garbage out. Right? They put it out. I mean, he doesn't act upon it. But when the story comes, he thinks, oh, is he believing that story? Is he looking at me like this? So those assumptions sometimes are a killer. Go, find it out, figure it out. But if you have the capacity, anyway, it's not going to make an impact, ignore and move on. But if it's affecting you, go, have a chat and move on. Okay. And if it still doesn't answer, people may move on.
So I'm sharing a personal experience, and so a different organization, not the place that I'm working right now. So I had a challenging time with my superior. So in my opinion, I thought he was playing office politics. So I never had the courage and go and speak to him one-to-one. So in a situation like that, as an employee, what he or she should do? So are you recommending that person to go and have a clear chat? If I am thinking my boss is the person who's creating the office politics, right? With that mentality.
Yeah. So even, see, he may be right, you may be right. And anyway, whoever is right, Asita, that's how you're feeling. That's your perception. So when you're living in that perception, when you work, Asita, I'm telling you, you can't perform. Because daily you come into work with that mentality, and whenever you see you, that's what come into your mind, and with that mind you can't have a piece of work. So I believe it's the happy employees who give the performance. So if you have to be happy, you have to be mentally free. So to get mentally free, you need to go and have a chat. He will say yes or no, but at least when you have a chat only, you know where I stand, and on this issue where the organization stands. So you need to have, and sometimes those are difficult discussion. So time it properly. Don't go and have it in middle of a board meeting, or when the boss is busy, or when the answer is going to be negative. So I'm sure when you work in an organization, you know when is the right time, when to pitch it, how to ask, you take a call on the body language. So all these come into play. So when you, with experience come this. But have that chat. And we as employees should learn to have difficult chat. One of the problems is, even to our team, sometimes we don't tell difficult things thinking that it hurts. And even to our bosses, we don't ask the difficult questions, and the assumption grow, and it's like cancer cells. It grow, productivity come down. Neither the organization is benefiting, neither the individual is benefiting. So move on and ask and clear it off. That would be my suggestion.
Wonderful answers, and I love that answer, because if I had this discussion a few years back, then I would have been a different set. But coming back to the story, Kumara from another community member, he has asked, so what do you suggest in order to stop political interference in an organization? I believe with the discussion that we had, he received his answer. So I know within 30 minutes we can't do a lot, but even though I really love to talk about this topic, as much as I love to talk about it, time is a luxury that we do not have. Thank you so much, Sayandhan, for connecting with me and sharing your knowledge. And one takeaway from this discussion personally is, like, if I am going through if I'm feeling that I am caught up in an office political environment, so I need to go and speak to my leadership and have it clear. So that's number one. Second point that I would take as an action is perform.
Yeah,
perform is the key. So when you perform, irrespective of whatever happening in the organization, it is irrelevant, because people will recognize you inside or outside, right? So these are the two elements that I have gained out of this conversation, Sayandhan. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, and I believe our audience love this conversation. And I'm sure that if they have any other questions related to this particular topic, please do reach out to Sayandhan. I will share his Facebook and his contact details. Please write to us, PM us. And I hope you enjoyed this little chat with 30 minutes chat with Sayandhan.
Yes. Asita, before you leave, I just give one word, which is a magic formula for any politics or any bosses. Have that smile on your face. Sometimes we don't smile. Just smile. That can take away. So if nothing works, just smile at a person. That will take away all the problems. So let's keep smiling. Go on.
Wonderful closure. If you don't know how to smile, just go in front of the mirror and practice before that, right? So thank you so much for your intelligence, Sayandhan, and I really enjoy this discussion. And I'm sure if my audience, if you like to learn about more things, if you love to know about different topics, please drop in the comment section that we will bring experienced individuals who can share their knowledge. And we are on all 3 social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook. Follow and subscribe 1 Minute Motivation Community. And if you think this interview can change someone's life, please do share it with your friends and family, because sharing is not only caring, it's also an act of impacting another person's life to be a better person. And you will never know, a single click of a button can actually change someone's life, my friends. So thank you so much for connecting with us, and until next time, be phenomenal. Send in a lot of love and blessings. Stay connected with 1 Minute Motivation for Inspiration. Thank you so much, Sayandhan.
Thank you, Asita. Thanks and good night.
Good night.